project. It's a little addition to a brownstone. This is a party wall in the rear yard of a brownstone. He got permission from the adjacent owner to get light and air windows for this little addition. There's a little terrace on top. This was an existing glass oriel. It's a building that actually had a very complicated structure because at the time I won't go through, but it had to all be restructured. That was all hidden in the ceiling design of this little addition. But it starts to talk about, this is all done in cut stone. This was to be, it's stone. It will be fabricated in Minnesota in a shop, all laser cut from our laser drawings, from our CAD drawings. But it really is about the intricacy of stonework and detail and ornament with wood. The interior is all in colored plaster and pear wood. Some of the white dolomite stone that's on the outside will reappear on the inside with a plaster ceiling and an onyx table. I don't think we've ever had a client spend that much money on a piece of furniture. The last project I'm going to show is a project for a community center in Brooklyn. It was a great commission for me. I started out wanting to be an architect, do public architecture, and this was really an architecture built for a municipality, and it had a municipal budget, which was really unpleasant, and it had one of those kind of contracts that if you screwed up on the budget, you had to redo it at your cost. So we paid real close attention to the estimating and how because we had to hit target numbers. But it was a project that we were really able to explore two very important components for me, and it returned me back to the issue of building in the city and an issue of making public architecture. It's a very tiny building. It's about 8,000 square feet. It's in addition to this rather horrible 18-story slab building on one of those anonymous super blocks. We were able to use the building to revisit the super block. We actually talked the housing authority into allowing us to get rid of this idea of the wasted open space between existing buildings and the slab building. The building in the site plan that you see, our building here, established 3 different courtyards as part of the fabric of the building, using the existing building here, which was a little transfer substation for the subway, and the new slab building. It created an entrance court on one side. It created a large public assembly space on the other side for kids. It's a community center used predominantly by teenagers and elderly people in different times of the day. Here you can see the site that we were given, the parcel we were given to work on. We were eventually asked to redesign the entire landscape of the lot. But as we started to do this, the housing authority started to get very interested in the idea that they could transform what were really problematic urban ideas, that these unsupervised blocks were hard for people to use. There was a kid actually, just before we started the project, was killed, a 5-year-old kid, shot in a drive-by shooting here. So understanding the landscape of the neighborhood and understanding the necessity for protection, the necessity for things to be somewhat more private and sequestered, to provide a range of space in a city from public space to semi-public to, in fact, private, was very important. The director of the program, David Burney, was educated in England. He had this idea that you could actually give projects like this to small firms. It was an unheard of idea in New York City. They usually go to the letter firms. But David gave out 15 community centers to people those of us who would never have gotten a commission from this public agency. So we treated it very carefully, and you can see the building as it started to emerge, really started to explore an array of ideas about ceremonial space. It really started to look at the idea of the solidity and dignity of public buildings, of the way we started to form the building, of trying to include, even though it was a very restrained budget, some idea about ornament and decoration, knowing full well that we were going to have an incredible problem with a contractor because this is bid in a public bidding process, low bid wins. Not only that, but we have a thing in New York, I don't know that you have out here, called Wick's Law. This is a kind of stupid clause for contractors. The 3 subcontractors, 3 primes, can bid separately. So the GC, the MEP, and all the other trades can bid separately. They're not responsible to anyone. So you have to include a 15% overrun in every budget figure because everything's going to be redone at least twice. It's one of these, it was a law created to give the subs a chance to get work out from under the prime general contractors, but of course it's now affected the taxpayers more than anybody else. We also included a cinema screen for an outdoor cinema, a kind of community wall. We thought originally we were going to have to screen off the rest of the park. It's a very simple building. It's a very large public assembly room, director's office, entry monitoring assistant director, storage, bathrooms and kitchen, and then there was a piece of the existing facility which had to be renovated at the other end of the building. But you can look and start to see about the entry sequence from the front of the building into a new outdoor courtyard, to our entry court, into the outdoor area for overflows. The space had a function, everything from kids doing homework in the course of a day to weddings on weekends. So we designed a complex lighting system so that we could change the lighting night to day. You can start to see we got the Housing Authority to do things they have never done. We got them to use mahogany doors and windows. We got them to use GFRC casting stone. We got a masonry building. We talked to them about durability. We actually almost had them to go back and build a much more 3-wide brick masonry building because they weren't going to have to fix it every 4 or 5 years because their operating costs were tremendous. Less money to heat and certainly less to cool. So all of these things were complicated conversations, but we've been finding that owners are very, very interested, and especially owners in historic environments where there is still a bit of controversy about the appropriateness of what we're building in those environments. Here you can see we also were not allowed to put a lot of windows down in the lower part of the building. These are all made in bulletproof glass in mahogany frames. These are some computer images of the outdoor entry court, the street image on Hancock Street, the garden view of the building, section cutaway of the interior, the GFRC casting stone. We tried to do as much of the building as a machine finish as we could. We understood that the contractor was going to be a problem, so we got as much of the building made outside in shops as we could and had it pretty much assembled on site. You can see the interiors here with the uplighting, downlighting systems. The GFRC pieces, which were done off our CAD drawings, field measured, and then they actually did the castings from these. This is the assembly of pattern pieces. So it's a simple system, varied slightly, so the molds could be changed, and we could get a building that was done on a Housing Authority budget. This is it a couple of weeks ago. It's almost done. You can see the roof hovering above, all set up on the steel structures, sitting on the masonry base, the mahogany doors and windows, the outdoor terrace. This is the Hancock Street side wall, some of the roof drains, and this is simply chunks of limestone which are embedded in the wall to give variation to the, and are keyed to the upper openings. Adjacent to the rather horrible tower next door. It's two views of the interior. The director's office with his window looking into the room, and the entry into the kitchen and bathrooms. The roof holds all the mechanical equipment and lighting, and it's folded and shaped in gesso plaster. You can see our study, our computer lighting study, and then the ultimate construction. The garden side, which now has this is the buzzer box. They're just starting to locate all of the decorative elements, the lintels for the windows, the other entry on the other side of the building. And this really gives